cities of Sodom and Gomorrah into ashes, condemned them to destruction, making them an example to those who would afterward live ungodly. So here is three things. It goes back before the earth, probably. The angels of sin. He goes to Noah. He goes to Sodom and Gomorrah. This is one of the major acts of judgment that God pronounced upon the ancient world. Then he says, and he delivered righteous Lot, who was oppressed by the filthy conduct of the wicked, vexed or oppressed. For that righteous man dwelling among them, tormenting his righteous soul from day to day by seeing and hearing their lawless deeds. If he can do those things, then he knows how to deliver the godly out of temptation and to reserve the unjust under punishment until the day of judgment. Hang on, I think this is something about it. Okay, she says there's no audio. My microphone on. Hang on. This is dead. I need a new batteries in this. Where's my battery deacon? Are you coming up here, Joel? You can? Yeah, okay, we'll do. I just bought new batteries, too. Harbor Freight Special. There you go. I don't know. I think, yeah, it's on now. All right, somebody texted me and saying they can't hear. This is a young person, so probably not. Not everybody's as old as some. Not everybody's as old as some people around here. All right. Anyway, we'll carry on here. Appreciate it, Joel. So anyway, so you see these three things, but he uses Sodom and Gomorrah as an example of God judging the wicked, and Lot is the example of God delivering the righteous. This is what judgments are in the Bible. They are a twofold event. They are the judgment of the wicked and the deliverance of the righteous. You see this over and over again. And I won't get too far afield here, but a set of circumstances arises that become a point that divides the righteous from the wicked. We're seeing this around us today in circumstances that go on in our society, that the righteous and wicked are being separated from each other. In the case of Sodom and Gomorrah, it's very obvious. He physically goes in and grabs a righteous person and drags him out of the city. That's not usually the way that happens, but that's the way it happened here. Noah took 120 years for this process to carry itself out. Now then, another example. This is Peter, and this is a prominent example here of this kind of judgment. Jude, in verse 7, in mentioning it's the same type of verse as 2 Peter 2, in that he lists some of these major judgments of God in the ancient world. As Sodom and Gomorrah, he says, as an example, and the cities around them in a similar manner to these, having given themselves over to sexual immorality and gone after strange flesh, are set forth as an example, suffering the vengeance of eternal fire. Now, people, as I mentioned, there were more sins in Sodom and Gomorrah than just a couple of homosexuals running around. It was an open practicing citywide of this perversion. You don't have everybody there doing it because Lot and his family are there, but it was citywide. And it says they had been given over, they had given themselves over to it. They weren't just people that knew better and thought it was wrong, but got tempted and did it anyway. That happens, doesn't it? Even good people in that sense are often overcome with temptation, especially in sexual matters. That's not what he's talking about here. Oh, well, there's always been fornication. There's always been adultery. Yeah, I know. It's different, though, when people that are trying to live right are overcome by temptation than people have given themselves over to it. Is there not a difference? Can we see the difference? Our society has given itself over. We put up no resistance whatsoever to sexual temptation of any kind as a society. It's all praised and lauded from the highest offices all the way down to the lowest, from whether it's interns in the White House all the way down, it's promoted as if it is fine. We've given ourselves over to it. Now, the latest of these dominoes to fall is now gay pride, gay sex. The other dominoes that are probably right on the heels here real soon are what we would normally call pedophilia. I predict that very soon you will not be able to use the word pedophilia. It will be redefined as not a problem and marginalized as a small thing over here. Okay? Been predicting that for a long time. You can ask Gary. It's just not. It's just another sexual orientation. Some people are aroused by people of the opposite sex. Some people are aroused by people of the same sex. Some people are aroused by their chandelier, and because love is love, you know. And some people are aroused by people that are young, children or young people. Ephebophobia or pedophilia, it's always been here, but now it's already being redefined. You can read articles in the New York Times and stuff about this, how we need to rework our understanding of this. So this is the next one to fall. Polygamy's already fallen. It really is just a matter of working itself out legally. Because if you can love whoever you want to love, according to the Supreme Court, marriage is just about who you love. If you can love whoever you love, why can't you love two people? According to the Supreme Court's decision on gay marriage, if you read what they wrote, the logic that they used to come to that decision, there is absolutely no reason that any state could ever prohibit polygamy. Because it's a matter of who you love and pursuing your own individual desires. So, and you know, gay marriage is the same thing. Because among the gays you have bisexuals. Some people want to have sex with both men and women. Well, why can't you marry both of those? If love is love, and you can marry whoever you love, and you're a bisexual, why can't you marry both? Is there any logical reason not to? What's the logical reason not to endorse polygamy? I'm asking a serious question here. Is there any left? There's not any left. It's just we have a little aversion to it right now, supposedly. But I don't think a whole lot of men would be fine with polygamy. Some of the women would resist, but women are always, you know, that way, behind the times. But there's no reason to. So they've given themselves over to sexual immorality and strange flesh. Now this is the debatable word. What is strange flesh? What's it sound like to you? Huh? Monkeypox. And it is monkeypox. It's how you get monkeypox. That's exactly right. Gay orgies. It's exactly how you get it. Okay? You got to wear a mask and you can't go to church and you can't go to your aunt's funeral, but gay orgies can continue all across the country. Not a problem. We know where it's all starting. We know why it's happening. We know where these things came into the United States, where they started, what cities and what events. The gay pride festivals in New York, Chicago, and San Francisco. We know where these things all started, but we can't say, stop doing that. They can tell you to stop going to church because of COVID, but they can't tell them to stop having gay orgies. How do you like that? What does it mean to be given over to something? That's what it means. That's an example of how that works.
What is strange flesh?
Strange flesh is homosexuality of various kinds of bestiality. Yeah. Why is it a problem with bestiality? What's the problem with bestiality according to these people? What could be the problem? Love is love. Can you not love your dog? Well, yeah, you can if you want to, because love is love is love. We buy these slogans. We buy into the slogans. Oh, it sounds so great. Love is love. Think about what that's saying. Think about what that means for a minute. I can tell you, somebody else much more perverted than you is thinking about it. So,
I'm glad I'm on my way out, not my way in. That's all I can say.
okay, Sandy, it takes the same thing to live today as it did when you were a young woman. It takes the same moral determination to live then as it does now. It is disgusting, I know, but the truth is, I'm not saying this against individual people, but people get caught up in this and it twists them. That's the problem with the immorality. The problem with the immorality is it hurts people. That's why God's against it, because it destroys them inside. I think I heard another comment back here.
There's a big difference in love and sex.
Yes.
Well, there is, except if you believe in free love from the 60s, Doug, me and you's generation. We started all that.
Big free sex, not free love. Because you can love,
All right.
love your mother and love your
Now I've been talking about this on Sunday. I know my crazy sermons on Sunday morning, which I'm going to continue this morning. Okay? Unless I change my mind. I'm trying to explain this I'm not talking to you, Doug. I'm trying to explain this. If you get rid of the upper story of God and His morals, there's only thing left is sex. That's all that's left. As far as love, that's all that's left is the physical down below. Now, so since you feel love, you have to define that as a physical thing. And so, yeah, there is a difference, truthfully, between love and sex. There is. But if you take God out of the picture, there is no difference. How can there be? There's nothing there. There's nothing up there to define what it is. There's no difference. So, even the radio producer was worried about me this morning on the radio. Anyway. Yes, it is. That's what strange flesh is, I think. Now, this is being disputed by, pardon my expression, homosexual Christians. This passage is disputed by these people.
I don't think those two words go together.
No.
So I don't.
Well, a person could be a Christian and practice homosexuality in the sense that they could be given into a temptation. But to have it so that it's accepted, a gay Christian, there's really no such thing that have an accepted lifestyle of being gay and being a Christian. Now, can a person who's a Christian give in to temptations that they may personally have? Yes, they can. And they can be forgiven for that, and they can need to be helped and loved and shown the right way, encouraged. But the idea of accepting a lifestyle, the acceptance of that is the whole problem. There's this big debate among Christians, and it's an interesting debate. It's got merit. I can see the issue, but it only leads in one direction. In the long run, it only leads in one. The idea is, if you admit that some people have SSA, same-sex attraction, that there's some people that from the time they're young, or teenagers even, have same-sex attraction. What happens as they grow up? Not all these people grow out of that. A lot of people do. Not everybody grows out of that. Now then they hear the gospel and they want to become a Christian. And they say, fine, I can become a Christian. I'm just not going. What would I tell this person who came to me, wanted to be baptized, and told me, I think it's wrong, I have this attraction, I don't like it, I'm not going to give in to it. I'm not going to practice that sin. Well, I would tell them the same thing I would tell somebody who is addicted to drugs who want to become a Christian. Are you willing to fight the temptation and not give in to it and do what's right? Yes. Because see, I've never believed, I love AA in the sense it does good, Alcoholics Anonymous, dealt with it, been through all the stuff, dealt with people involved in AA and NA and Nar-Anon and Al-Anon and all that stuff. But I don't buy the premise that once you're an alcoholic, you're always an alcoholic. I always rejected that premise. I'll always be an alcoholic. I don't believe that. Such were some of you, but you've been washed.
Sure. People that smoke cigarettes, once they're addicted to it, they take one drag.
Sometimes it is. Sometimes it is. Doesn't mean they're still a smoker because they're not smoking. Okay? But I know. Addictions are physical things as well as spiritual. You have to fight both of those. But my point being, I think it's possible for someone to say, yes, I have same-sex attraction, but I know it's wrong, and I'm going to be celibate with regard to that desire. Pray that God would help me. And people do change. Oh, there's a lot. They're all hidden in the media. But there's whole organizations of people where people have given up homosexuality and changed because of Christian teaching. Just a second. Let me finish what I'm saying, and then remind me to go here back to you. But But the point is, the debate is now, should you call this person who says that, can you accept him? I think you can. Any way I would accept a person who says, well, I'm a porn addict, or I'm an alcoholic, but I want to change, I know it's wrong, I need help. Okay, I think you can, but to say, well, I'm a gay Christian. That's what they want to, that's what they want to call themselves. I'm a gay Christian, a same-sex attracted Christian. I'm an alcoholic Christian.
It's almost the same.
Now you got a problem. At some point you're going to have a problem because you're going to have to accept them in spite of that. Not that they should overcome it, but just accept it for what it is and accept them that that's the way they are, and you don't say, well, no, you can't stay that way, you got to change. That's what's going on around the country right now in many, many churches. Are we going to ask them to change, or are we going to accept them the way they are? All right, just a second, Doug. And I'll come back to Ed and then back to Doug. And
Christ is asking to change, he's asking for repentance. So if we're not willing to repent, we don't have the saving grace of Christ.
Right.
That's the, so, you know, there's only so much tolerance. Because the logic, and to me, it's not really logic. To me, it's just a way to put off doing what one should do.
well, now if I admit that they should repent, obviously I believe that. What does that look like, and how many times can they fall, and so forth? The problem is when they just say, I'm going to continue living like I am, and you should just accept that. That won't work.
Here's an example. So I was involved with the local government, and we had, what we would do when somebody would have a OD overdose, we would send an ambulance with this, whatever, I don't know what it was, or something. So we had a guy 7 times, one guy. And so we had a little meeting, and I said, you know, sometime we've got to just draw the line. We can't just keep, because this is costing us my year's money. So we can't just keep sending this ambulance out to this guy because he ODs as soon as we drive out of the driveway. He ODs, and we got to go back 7 times this one day. I think just stop, just let him go. And I got so much heat from that. I didn't care, but I got a lot of heat. I was like, we just need to keep doing it because he might die. Well, that would be sure.
Eventually, yeah, there's only so much you can do for people. It really is a shame. It hurts you. I don't think we have to take any pride or joy in it. But in the end, people prove themselves out what they are. And that would be my point about this. People will prove over time I don't have to force the issue. They will prove what they're going to do about it. And so therefore, be kind and gentle and compassionate as much as you can, helpful, and sometimes, like you're saying, what people call tough love is not really the right definition of it, but you know what I'm talking about. And then it'll be proven what it is. And you have to be willing to let that stand then, unfortunately. Some people, though, when they're given over to it, they've now accepted it and are not going to fight it. They're not fighting it. When you're given over to it, you're not fighting it anymore. You're just addicted to drugs or homosexuality, whatever it may be. You're just given over to it. There's a difference between someone who's struggling with pornography and someone who's given over to it. There's a big difference in those people. It's not always easy to detect which one a person is right in there, but there's a difference in the long run which one it is. But that's when God judges. He doesn't judge just because there's homosexuals in a society or there's adulterers in a society. Like a point I've always made, all this homosexual stuff that all these Christians are upset about all got here because heterosexual Christians refuse to live a moral life.
That's exactly right.
Okay? They've refused to live a moral life. They've justified their fornication, their adultery, and their divorces over and over again. They've justified all of that, unlawful stuff. And then how can we be surprised that homosexuality is now a problem? We can't. It's the same. I don't think the Lord looks at it that much different. He knows that the effects of he noticed that when you get to the widespread acceptance of homosexual behavior, you've got so many other problems behind that it's very difficult. Because it's homosexuality at its root, practiced this way, I'm not talking about every individual person, but when it's widely accepted, is at its root an extremely self-oriented behavior. That's the problem with it. There's a lot of other behaviors that are very self-oriented, but the open practice of homosexuality is very self-oriented. Well, what do you see around you in all this gay pride? What do you see? Except self-indulgence, self-orientation. The whole big thing is self-expression. Now, I have sympathy, and I can understand people that have same-sex attraction, don't know what to do about it, and they struggle with it, and they can always be redeemed, and you keep working and praying and loving people like that as best you can. But when it becomes then a matter of pride, now you're walking into a different territory. When a man is an adulterer and he's proud of it and defends it, now you got a different animal, don't you? If I'm in marriage counseling, I got a guy that's committed adultery, a woman who's committed adultery, and I find out they're proud of it, unashamed of it, and you can't tell me what to do, I got a different animal than the one who's sinning and is sorry. I got a whole different problem to address. And that's where we are in a society. It's gone from accepting gay people and not persecuting them to making our kids be proud of homosexuality. In the libraries and everywhere else. We got all, that's a whole different thing. How many years has it taken to go from one to the other? What, 2 or 3?
Yeah.
And not long.
My 2 Peter 2:20 says, "For if after they have escaped pollution of the world through the knowledge of the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, they are again entangled therein and overcome, the latter end is worse with them than the beginning."
Right. A person can be taken over by sin even after they become a Christian,
Right.
and then it's hard to get them back. I had a discussion with somebody the other day, and the problem is not whether I should mistreat someone who's a homosexual or something like that. I don't believe in that. The problem is them forcing me to accept it as if it's good. I'm not going to go there. I'm just not. And I know that's a terrible thing to say. You're not either. I know I'm not the only one. I'm just saying that personally. That's what I told this. I'm not going to accept that's a right thing to do. Even though I can still accept the person in the sense I'm not going to mistreat them, I'm not going to accept that that this is the way it should. And the same thing should be true of an adulterer or a fornicator. All right, Doug and then Ken.
There's a big difference in committing sin and being a sinner.
Yeah, sinner implies a long-standing practice or a practice as a lifestyle, we would call it, of sin, of wrong. And sins go together. They don't come in isolation. A liar has a lot of other things that they got problems with, okay? A chronic liar. The sins don't come as one. They come in as a package deal.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you about the time I got in trouble. I watched somebody text on the internet that they were born gay.
No one could possibly know that. Okay, no one could possibly know what they were when they were born.
Okay.
And go ahead.
So, two things make me angry. Lying and being intentionally stupid.
Intentionally stupid. Wow, that's an interesting combination of words there. Okay.
So I texted them and I said,
Willfully ignorant.
yeah. So I said, the only way you were born gay is if you had a twin and you were having sex when you were both born.
So you're defining homosexuality as the actual action, not the attraction. And that's part of this
Decision you made.
That's part of this debate that goes on, is the attraction. And I would say the attraction itself probably is not a sin. Acting on the attraction is the sin. Okay? Generally, I believe that's true. But once you accept that the attraction is okay, and we're not going to fight it, now we got a whole problem, you
They
see.
were so mad I
Yeah.
was so happy they were there.
Right. Now, here's the difficulty with that statement, Ken, to be argumentative with you. Jesus says, looking after a woman to lust after her in your heart is adultery. Now, it's not the same as committing the act, but it is the thing that leads you there, right? So if you're going to have same-sex attraction, you have to treat it like a heterosexual looking after a woman to lust. You have to treat it the same way. Seeing a woman and being attracted to a woman that's not your wife is not a sin. Being tempted is not the sin. I had a Christian argue with me, a mature Christian woman argue with me that being tempted was wrong. Well, I said I was tempted. She said, well, you're an evil person because you're tempted. If you were a good person, you wouldn't be tempted. Okay, well, I'm done. I said, well, I'm just done. I don't know where to go from there. If being tempted is a sin, I'm done.
The devil tempts everybody.
But, right, we can all be tempted. Now, if I let the temptation linger there and it becomes a lust, now I have a problem. And that's where it's easy to deceive ourselves, to be willfully ignorant. The Scriptures uses the phrase, what? You said intentionally stupid. Yeah, well,